Senator Rand Paul weighed in this week with an interesting perspective on just how unnecessary the whole charade has been from the start. Take a listen.
They basically are upset that President Trump delayed delivering some foreign aid. Well, I'm of the opinion that foreign aid is unconstitutional and that it's unwise to send money to countries when you have to borrow the money from China to send it to Ukraine or any other country.
And joining me now to talk about that and more is one of the jurors in the upcoming impeachment trial, Republican Senator Mike Rounds. Now, he was supposed to be live from here, Sioux Falls, South Dakota tonight, but thanks to a blizzard, which you can see on the screen, his trip was canceled. And we appreciate him giving us a few minutes on the phone. All right. Good evening, Senator. Are you there?
Yes, I am, and thank you very much. The good news is the interstates are now starting to open up again.
Of course, we've already started the show, but we're looking to get you on just this another time. But we're thrilled to have you on. Look, you are, as I said in the introduction, you are a juror in the upcoming historic Senate impeachment trial that's scheduled to begin in the Senate on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, the senators are scheduled to debate the resolution as it relates to the calling of witnesses and the producing of documents. Now, the Democrats want witnesses and most of the Republican senators do not. What do you think is going to happen, given that you need 51 votes to set the Senate rules? There are 53 Republicans, 47 Democrat senators. How's this all going to work out in terms of additional witnesses?
Well, I think right now our consensus is that the Republicans will support Senator McConnell's plan, which is to follow very similar guidelines as what was used in the Clinton impeachment. And that means that we will do phase one without making a decision as to any additional witnesses. Basically, what we're saying is, okay, House, you thought you had enough to impeach. Bring it on. Bring it over here. And then we'll find out at that point whether there's any additional finding of fact necessary or if you have failed to make your point. Now, if the facts are clear and there is no further reason for any witnesses or any additional material, we can at that.
Once that is complete, if they decide not to.
Then we can move on to other questions, including whether or not we move directly to final decision, up or down, on removal of office.
You know, Senator, as a former DA myself, and I've tried many cases, and as a judge, I sat on them as well. But sometimes if the prosecution comes in and they allege certain facts and a crime in the indictment, which on presentation of their evidence is factually insufficient, which is what the president's answer is saying that was delivered tonight, I believe at 5 or 6 o'clock. There can be a motion to dismiss the indictment. Is it possible in the Senate for there to be a motion to dismiss before the president even puts a defense on because it's factually insufficient?
It's possible, but highly unlikely, and here's the reason why. Most of us feel very strongly that the president should be exonerated based upon the facts that have been presented so far. And the best way to do that is to go directly to an up or down vote as to whether or not he should be removed. Remember, to remove from office requires a two-thirds vote. A substantially smaller number supporting that would send a very clear message to the House they didn't do their job and that there was no evidence being brought forth. Remember, they have not at this point charged him with any crimes, right. No high crimes. They've suggested this is high crimes and misdemeanors, and while it is true that you can be impeached without having a crime, it would be the first time in our nation's history if that were to occur. At this stage of the game, based upon the evidence they presented so far, we just simply don't see how they move forward in asking us to try to find additional material for them.
Okay, in the 30 seconds, Senator, that we have left, do you think that most senators have already made up their minds? Or a more generic question, do you think senators can be unbiased? I mean, aren't you all, having watched this charade like the American people, don't you think a lot of people have made up their minds in the Senate?
I think the Founding Fathers were clear that they expected us to be fair and impartial, but that doesn't mean that we haven't been able to look at all of the material that has been provided by the House already. And it doesn't mean that we can't speak our minds as to what we've seen so far. the vast majority, if not all, Republicans so far, and perhaps some Democrats, have not seen how the House has been able to come up with enough material to suggest, the removal of office. The House has the ability to impeach, but the Senate has to be the adults in the room, and we're the ones that have the ultimate say on this. And I think, as you said earlier, I think the decisions, for the most part, we all know the final outcome. But as the Senate, we have to do this correctly. We have to follow. We have to do our due diligence.
Okay.
And then we can allow for the final outcome to be made very clear to the American public.
Senator Mike Rounds, thanks so much for being with us.